afternoon. I hereby call this agenda review meeting of the Nacogdoches ISD Board of Trustees to order. Let a record show that a quorum is present and notice of the meeting was legally posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Board member Reverend Irvin is unable to attend today's meeting. All items on the agenda today are for discussion only. No action will be taken at this meeting. Please join us in turning your cell phones to silent mode. We will start our review today with the consent agenda. Item A, board meeting minutes. Did everyone have a chance to review these? Were there any questions or concerns?
Nope.
All right. Business office reports. I'll turn that over to Mrs. Barbrick.
Good afternoon, President Fitch, board members, and Interim Superintendent Fraley. I'll begin with the budget amendments, which is on page 27. The first amendment is a request from a campus to move funds to pay for UIL extra duty stipends to teachers. Every year we continually increase our UIL activities, and so more and more teachers are used to coach these students. Amendment B is moving funds to pay the GT co-op fee. Last year's fee that we paid, compared to this year's fee, it went up quite a bit. And so that's why this is being requested. The additional amount is the amount that was over last year. Amendment C is campus just needing to move funds to pay for their counselor co-op fee. Amendment D is from a campus requesting to move funds so that they can hold a staff development for their teachers. Amendment E found another LSSP that was paid out of the function 11, but they should be paid out of function 31 as a guidance, counseling, and evaluation. So that's just a correction. Function F. As you know, we've hired a new athletic director, and so up until the end of the year, we're paying for 2 of them. So I'm moving funds around to pay for that. Budget Amendment G. We have students going to state for UIL, and so we are moving funds to pay for them to travel. And Amendment H is to pay for the LED lighting project, which you approved in the previous month. We're pulling that out of fund balance as we expected to do.
Madam President, may I make a comment, please?
Please.
Back to A, the UIL extra duty stipends, just a comment to say how pleased and excited I was. I attended elementary UIL. There were so many students participating. I want to thank the principals for your work and encouraging our teachers and our students. I think it's a great activity. And so if you need more staff, I certainly understand. There were a lot of kids in that program, Mr. Fraley. So congratulations on a great job, and certainly support UIL competition. Thank you.
I'd echo that. It's very nice that we're hosting that event here in Nacogdoches and bringing those students from surrounding school districts here. It's exciting. Thank you guys for that work. That's economic development at work.
That's right. Thank you.
Any other questions on budget amendments? All right. We'll move on to I'd like to move on to the donations under 2,500, and that is on page 33. We received a cash donation totaling $535.56, as well as non-cash donations. The cash donation, there was $35.56 donated from Kroger and $500 from the East Texas Professional Credit Union. And then Stripling's Pharmacy donated a tower garden to Mike Moses, and and then Reggae received Valentine cards from Walmart. There were no donations over 2,500.
Mr. Fraley, can I ask, I know that we've got one booster club that's looking at making a sizable donation to the district. Do we know the status of how that project is coming?
Don't know yet. I visited with one of the officers a couple weeks ago, and no update yet, but we'll keep looking at that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, let's move on to the investment report. Page 36. We recently invested $6 million in the Texas Class Investment Pool. In February and March, we received large amount of tax funds, and we don't want that sitting in our bank account. So we invested until we need it. And then the rest of the reports I just leave to you for any questions you may have.
Let me get there. I had one question, and it was just kind of I was curious. On page 73, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but I was curious about it. Isinus readers? What is that?
That is the software program we use at the high school where the doors are locked and they have to have a card for entry.
Ah, okay. There you go. Any other questions on the business office reports? All right. Hearing none, we will move to item C, purchases over $25,000. Mr. Martin, looks like you've got the first three there.
Thank you, President Fitch. Board members, proposals were received from Sound Tech, acting as the primary contractor for White Electric, who will serve as their subcontractor for a project at Nacogdoches High School to upgrade the audio-visual system. This is a purchase that the board approved, or funds that the board approved last month to purchase this. That we are asking that the board approve the upgrades for the high school sound system and audio-visual for the amount of $194,259,259.10.
Mr. Martin, sound system, is it Coliseum as well?
It is Coliseum as well, yes, sir. It is the Nacogdoches Auditorium,
Yes.
and lighting and sound, as well as the gymnasium, the competition gymnasium sound system.
Great.
What kind of life expectancy can we have with that? Did they give you anything like that?
We did not get anything like that. My sound expert might better be able to answer that question.
In terms of the equipment itself, you usually have a 5 to 7 year on that, but this could be more than that, depending upon how we use it. We'll have the audio system will be suspended, and unless there's some abusive behavior, which I don't expect, that we shouldn't have any issues for several years to come. And we'll confirm any kind of a warranty, usually manufacturing warranty of about 5 years or so, those types of things, but we'll confirm that.
I have a question.
Yes,
Dr. Crespo, does this meet your needs? It has been hard to hear at both of those venues. Is this going to solve your problems?
I'm sure it'll be better. I haven't seen it in action, but I'm sure it's gonna do a whole lot better than what we have right now.
Well, I will tell you, we didn't go for adequacy, we went for good, or really excellent. And so looking at the actual system for the, both locations, JBL sound system is, professional system is top class. So this is beyond just adequate. This is
Okay.
very effective. Very
I'm aware of Soundtech's reputation.
Hopefully it will be, if it's equivalent to what we have at the stadium now, it will blow everybody's socks off.
Well, it may not be quite as loud, but it'll be appropriately sized for the Coliseum there. No, I'm very familiar with this product line, and this is what you'll find in some of your top places. Again, it's not extravagant, but it is beyond just adequate. Okay.
Any questions before we move on? All right, that'll take us to item 2, the sound project at TJR, I believe.
Yes, ma'am. On page 82 in your board book, again, we are recommending going with Soundtech, acting as a prime contractor with White Electric. This is a bond project coming out of the bond. It is within the budget of priority maintenance that was approved in the bond for an amount of $87,761. We're asking for the board's approval to complete this project.
Madam President, I would add, by doing it at this time, we do think we're going to realize some savings because this is definitely below the amount budgeted since in the bond. So we're very happy to go ahead and move forward with it now.
Excellent.
So we'll have a party at TGR, I guess, coming up.
And this is for their auditorium?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Anything else there, or just the auditorium?
Just the auditorium.
All
Mhm.
Excellent. Any questions or discussion on that item? All right. Then we'll move to item 3, Mr. Martin. Fabulous item to talk about, right? Termite and pest control.
Awesome item. On page 84 in your board book, Expect More Pest Control has decided not to renew their contract with Nacogdoches ISD. This project was bid out. We had 3 bidders enter our ad, and after review, the committee is recommending TRAM to be paid out of the plant services maintenance budget. The total cost of this contract project is $30,600. We're asking for the board's approval on the contract.
I was curious when I reviewed this, how does this compare to what we were paying previously with the other vendor?
I will have to research that.
Okay. Yeah, I would just be curious to
Okay.
know if it's comparable, or if we're having to spend a little bit more, if we're getting a better deal.
Yes, ma'am?
All right,
We'll
thank
get
you,
an
sir.
answer. Okay,
And the contract is for 1 year?
1 year. Yes, sir.
Now, during that year, if for some reason that doesn't work out, can we go back and negotiate or not? Or are we stuck with it? Let's say, for example, it doesn't work out, can we go back and get done with that contract and get another contract or not?
Let me find the answers to those questions,
Okay.
and I will get back to you.
I'm just curious, yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's about-
If I could, to
Very good
Mr. Moore's credit here, Mr. LaRue's, this is his project that he is
Oh, okay.
somewhere in the air right now.
Okay,
So Mr. Martin is kind of pinch hitting in.
okay.
Well, doing a great job, and that's why we have these review meetings, is to give us time to
Exactly,
review those questions that we may have.
exactly. Yep.
All right, any other questions or discussion on the termite contract?
I do have one other question. If we're going to get information, do they do any other schools in this area? Like, do they go out to Woden, or do they go out to Central Heights? are they experienced in doing what we need?
Okay. Very valid, yes, thank you.
All right, hearing no other questions, I will move to item 4, Dell EMC, Mr. Adams. How are you today, sir?
Great. Good afternoon, Ms. Finch. You're doing great. You guys doing well also. Board members, Interim Superintendent Mr. Fraley, I'm presenting, we're wanting to purchase 100 computers to replace the 100 out of the 120 computers that we have. And that's currently like our textbook at Malcolm. And we have a grant, the Rural Low Income Service Grant, Schools Grant, I'm sorry, that we can actually do this out of this year. So it's no local impact to our budget. And I am, just to clarify, because I know there's 3 different prices on the budget quotes. The one we're going with is with Dell. It includes the actual PC, the new monitors, and brackets to attach the small PC to the back of the screen. So it gives us more space in the room, gives us a better visual of the students, and I think it'll wind up being something better. And it also goes along with what our tech department is used to working with. They provide on-site service, repairs, things of that nature, so it's a really good package. And that's the reason why we chose that one, and that's the differences in the price, because they're going ahead and giving us the complete PC and not just the tower.
Are your old, Mr. Adam, are your old computer pretty much obsolete?
They're anywhere from 5 years or more older.
Can it be donated to some nonprofit organizations if they want it?
We have to be careful about gift to public funds, so we'll go through our regular process of looking at any kind of surplus type materials.
Yes.
And they came from Kate funding also, so there's some more.
Could they be recycled like a place like Carpenter within
Well,
the district?
we will explore all options.
Okay.
And the administrative recommendation is the board approve the purchase of computers from Dell EMC in the amount of $62,800.
Mr. Adams, and I understand, you're saying that our IT people can maintain that.
They're trying to streamline and keep everything in the same type of
Platform,
equipment as far as
okay.
like Dell,
Okay.
for example. But now what's coming with the service contract is actual
do get-
on-site
okay.
service. So they won't even have to come out and touch them right now.
Okay.
I want to say 3 to 4 years. I can't remember exactly.
I want to thank you and express appreciation for, going out and seeking grant funds to do this project. I think that's a win-win for the kids, the district, everything, so we appreciate that effort.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you all for the support.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion, concerns?
Thanks, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Adams.
President Fitch,
Yes.
I have an answer on that pest control.
Oh, yes.
Last year, we paid $32,489.96.
All right. So it's
Good.
comparable.
Better.
Yeah,
Thank
a
you.
little better.
Little better.
A little better. Appreciate you always
Thank you.
concerned about potential budget implications, so thank you for looking that up. All right, that will take us to item 2D, consideration of Brigade HVAC project. Mr. Martin?
Thank you, President Fitch. Again, this is a project that was included in the priority maintenance portion of our bond. This is for new equipment to be installed at Regay Elementaries. Bids were open on March 21st. We had 2 bidders, and the board, the administration is recommending with the total cost with A&E fees, $662,288 for the replacement of these HVAC units.
And who is the vendor that you're recommending?
The vendor we're recommending is Cox Contractors.
And that is
And-
within the budget.
And within the budget, and have they identified their subcontractors?
Let me defer to Mr. Army Curtis, who's with us
Okay.
today.
Mr. Curtis, welcome.
Good afternoon. Yes, Cox mechanical sub, I believe, is Nacogdoches Sheet Metal,
Okay.
and White Electric is doing the electrical. We also have with we're using a district vendor for controls too, which is also included in this price.
Great. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Any other questions or concerns? Discussion? Yes, sir.
What happens to the old ones? Didn't we replace one of those in the last year or so at Brigade?
This is, Brigade. I think there's another phase, I believe it is.
Mr. Curtis.
I can answer that one. The big unit that handles the cafeteria was replaced when the addition was done. That is not being replaced under this contract. All the other ones are.
Okay.
And do you happen to know off the top of your head the average age of those older units?
I want to say that they came from the last bond election, I think.
So around 20.
Close to it. I think they were 04,
Uh,
something like that.
Yeah, I know they were well past life cycles, so that will be welcomed, and we'll probably gain some efficiencies that will help on the electric bills as well.
Good.
Any other questions or comments on the Brigade project? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item 2E, the Mike Moses Middle School HVAC project. Mr. Martin.
On page 93 of your board book, again, the administration is requesting that the board approve a bid from Cox Contractors for the amount of $258,800, the total project cost being $276,916 for the replacement of equipment at Mike Moses Middle School. Again, this was part of the priority maintenance portion of the bond and is within the budget.
And have those subcontractors also been identified, or?
Mr. Curtis?
Mr. Curtis, if you will.
Thank you for being here today, sir.
Yes, they have been. I'm trying to remember their name now. I did not bring that with me. They are a local sub, I believe, out of Lufkin, and it's also White Electric as the, I know as the electrician for sure.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments?
I'm sorry, I just got the information. I
sorry.
think I misspoke on the first one.
Okay.
It's for Reggae, it's McWilliams and Sons who is doing the mechanical.
Okay.
And Nax Sheet Metal is the one on Moses. So, sorry about the confusion.
Sheet metal. Got it. Thank you for that correction, sir. All right. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item 2F, second reading of the TASB policy update. Since this is a second reading, I will just ask if there was any additional comments or concerns since our first reading approval. All right. We'll move forward then to item G, audit engagement letter for the fiscal year ending June the 30th. Ms. Barbara.
On page 512, we are recommending that we engage, and I know I pronounced this wrong last time, Belt Harris Pehacek LLP for extend their agreement another year at a cost of $45,828.
And is this year 2 that we've used them?
Yes, so
Okay.
this would be our third
Okay, so this will be the third. All right.
yes.
So, Ms. Barber, normally, how many years do we, before we look? 3 to 5?
You can use them for as long as you want.
Okay.
Recommendation is 5 years. Our last auditor we used probably 20 years.
Okay. Thank you.
I would add, I think it's very wise to, at least every 5 years, change auditors.
Yeah, makes sense.
Any other questions or discussion? All right. Move to item H, first reading of revised local policy for performance appraisal evaluation of teachers. Dr. Hill.
Good afternoon, President Fitch, board members, and Interim Superintendent Fraley. Thank you very much. So I worked with a group of principals. I've asked them to be here today just in case there were some questions that I could not answer that you might have. This is our local policy, and we are asking for little less specific guidelines on the less than annual appraisal for teachers. And so what we did is we met as a collective group and we looked at various other districts across the state of Texas at their policies. And they ranged anywhere from, some districts evaluating teachers every year, and then we grabbed some of the guidelines that we thought would be applicable to us. When I got here, several of them expressed concern that there weren't many teachers who met the current policy. And so instead of spending a lot of their time doing first appraisals on teachers, they really wanted to spend time on those that maybe needed a little more assistance, if that makes sense. This does not take away the number of walkthroughs or being in the classrooms or the importance of being in the classrooms and monitoring instruction. It just allows a little more flexibility for us.
And you said you had a group of teachers involved with?
No, I'm sorry, principals. I'm sorry if I misspoken. So, yes, sir,
Okay, no, I wasn't
principals.
sure if you
I
said
apologize.
teachers or principals, okay.
I hope I said principals. And so what you have in front of you, of course, is the proposed policy. And then I believe Ms. Anderson took the existing policy and then color-coded it and struck through the pieces that we've been advised from TASB to delete. And the blue are the additions. So I entertain any questions that you might have.
How will we tie this into what's going on with the legislature in terms of teacher appraisals that they're talking about and doing it?
Well, of course, once all those are finalized, we'll go back and make sure that our policy matches it. Absolutely, yes, sir. That's first and foremost.
I have a question. Is this, I'm not sure if this is the part, but there are other teachers that have training to evaluate the teachers, is that right? Or there's trained officials that evaluate them?
Well, there's a list of approved appraisals that
okay,
go
that's what I'm
through
looking
the
for.
T-test training.
How big is our
and-
list? Do we have enough appraisers, and how do we get more and better appraisers?
Usually what happens is every year, the people that are recommended to go, and it's typically our administrators and some members of the teaching and learning team, and then they go through a 3-day workshop. They do have to do a calibration assessment, and it's typically done every year, and I believe the state's allowing us a little more flexibility in doing it for 2 years. But I know those appraisal lists are brought to you at the beginning of the year, and I think we brought to you a couple of different lists, just because of when people were going through and getting quote-unquote certified.
Okay, so do we have an approximate number of appraisers?
Approximately 30 to 36.
Okay. Is that enough?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Hill, I want to compliment the principals and your leadership, because I think it's great being a former principal, and then those teachers that really master at that level, and this give you more time to do the other things that you need to do. So I think it's a great move and effort to do the right thing for teachers.
Thank you for
evaluation.
allowing us the opportunity to bring
Yeah.
it to you.
Any other questions or concerns? Well done. And I would like to echo Mr. Neal's comments. Thank you, principals, for working on this and bringing this forward. We definitely want to do everything we can to support and make your job streamlined and efficient. Hearing no more questions or discussions, we'll move to item I, the allotment and TEKS certification. Dr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am. This document is found on page 526 and 527. This is an annual certification that we do every year. And basically, it talks about the any of our instructional materials that either we will adopt and/or purchase are 100% aligned to the text. And so right now, we do have a K through 8 ELAR adoption, and so we'll be bringing information to you in the April and May board meetings. We've met with the publishers, and so we're finalizing the rubrics and getting all of the feedback, and so you'll be hearing more about that. But this is just one of those steps that we have to take every year for IMA.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to item J, letter of commitment to participate in the Region 5 Food Service Co-op. Mrs. Thacker, how are you today? I'm doing wonderful. Good.
Good afternoon, President Fitch, board members, and Interim Superintendent Fraley. I'm bringing to you just a renewal of our existing resolution that was put in place in 2010 and 2011 to allow us to continue with Region 5's co-op because it brings more variety of foods. We have 2 food shows, one in Beaumont and one in Lufkin, allowing students to actually tell us what they think, what they don't like, what they do like, so we get their input in what we want to put on the menu. And it's the very first year we ever joined, we saved 50 grand
Oh, wow.
just on milk.
Oh, wow.
So can you imagine that milk's not really all of my food budget, so.
Fantastic.
So we've continued to keep that trend going.
Excellent.
Ms. Thacker, I would like to really thank you publicly for all the hard work that you've done to ensure that our kids are getting fed at school and the kids are not having to go without eating, because this is one of the biggest things for me as a social worker, that I always hated to see kids not being able to eat because they didn't have the money to eat. And I've heard so many good comments about the fact that kids feel happy about going to school because they know they're going to get to eat something at school. So thank you so much.
Yeah, the
Thank
community
you,
eligibility
staff.
provision has definitely worked out into our welfare. And I'll say, it's not on the agenda, so I apologize, but the community was really great about turning in the income surveys to where we didn't lose on the PEEM side either. So it's a win-win for everyone. So as long as we can continue it, it's great too. But we work hard to make sure our kids eat and get the food that they want to see on the menu.
Thank you so much.
So,
Well, and thank you for working out of the box and working with another regional co-op to save us that valuable money and those resources.
well, thank y'all for allowing me the freedom to go and explore and do what I do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. All right, next up is item K, certification of unopposed at-large candidate. Mr. Fraley.
Thank you, President Fitch. We have an election this May 4th, and we have 2 positions up. One is an at-large position currently held by Mrs. Pam Fitch, and District 1 currently held by Reverend James Irvin. An at-large position, Mrs. Fitch is running unopposed, and so instead of spending campaign funds, we'll just propose to certify her as being reelected, and she can get on about the business and continue to do the business of the district. That's what this is all about. Unless there's objection, of course.
Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion? All right, hearing none. We'll move to item L, the election services contract for the upcoming election. Mr. Fraley.
Thank you, ma'am. Because we do have one of the area races, contested, we do have to have an election. So we're going to be contracting with the county to provide that for us at a cost of over $2,000 to conduct that election for us. We've always worked with the county. They do a great job. Mr. Stallings is just an outstanding person to work with, and so we're very pleased to present this as a budget impact of $2,447, $500, between $2,447 from the board elections budget.
Any questions? Discussion? Thank you. Will there be any changes? Will all early voting take place at the annex? And, I know he'd made a couple of adjustments.
Right.
That'll all be at the annex. I like that. It makes it easy for people to remember. Excellent. All right. With that, we'll move on to item 3, discussion and action agenda. Item A, the consideration of the design development for Emmeline Carpenter, Nacogdoches High School CTE, and Dragon Stadium Press Box. Mr. Fraley.
Thank you, President Fitch. Glad to have with us our team from PBK Architects to give you a nice little show, actually,
I've been looking forward to
the
this.
proposed designs of these three reference projects. And from these, we'll develop our construction documents and get busy with getting the bids out and get ready to start turning a little dirt. So glad to have with us a partner of PBK, Mr. Rick Bland. Rick, introduce your guest, and the show is yours.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, excuse me, not good evening. Good afternoon, Madam President, trustees, interim superintendent, Mr. Fraley. First of all, my name is Rick Bland. I'm one of the partners at PBK Architects and partner in charge of our Nacogdoches work in Nacogdoches. And I'm also joined by Mr. Sean Panton. Sean is the lead designer for all of our Nacogdoches projects as well. And Sean's going to talk quite a few minutes in here in just a second when I finish a little bit of an introduction. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of this bond program. It's very, very exciting time historic time for Nacogdoches ISD. We realize that, and we understand the importance of what we do for Nacogdoches ISD. And today, we're here to present three separate projects. The first project, Emmeline Carpenter replacement, which we started this project as a charrette project. One of the things that we like to do when we start a greenfield project is have a 2 to 3 day charrette. And a charrette process is where we bring all of the end users and the stakeholders and Principal Moore and her incredible staff. They come into a session where we spend time just generating ideas, generating goals for a new project. We talk about strengths and weaknesses of the existing Emmeline Carpenter. As you might imagine, that list there might have been a little bit of an imbalance to that list of strengths and weaknesses, but we addressed all of those issues and comments and incorporated those into a design that you're going to see today. Some of the goals that were discussed in the charrette process were items like larger classrooms, daylighting in all of the classrooms, easy accessibility to the site, additional parking. Everybody, when you talk about an elementary, you talk about additional parking. So we've addressed that rather well as well, and Sean's going to get into that in just a second, as well as access to the building and to the site after hours. So you'll see when we get into the floor plan, we have multiple access points for after hours, and we are also able to secure the building in roll-down grills or other ways of securing the building if you want to use the cafeteria side or the large multipurpose room side, or to use a library as well. So we'll see that in just a second. I'm sorry, let me back up just 1 second. So we started in immediately after the bond program, we started our charrette process, and then we're proposing to go to the board meeting on Thursday for recommended approval of the project. And we'll look at the rest of the schedule in just a second after we move forward, if you choose to approve this project schematic design. The site is a site directly across from McMichael's Middle School. So you can see we are on 224 and 21 East Main. So we're roughly at the corner of those two TxDOT freeways. We have a rather comfortable site. We're good as far as a site. We have detention on the south. You'll see we have detention on the south side. So this south side of the site is really not used by the campus. We have a potential for entry into the site from either 224 off of this side or from the north side at 21. So we're currently, the reason you see two options there, we're currently talking to TxDOT and to the city of Nacogdoches about options related to both of those entries. And currently we can go both ways. We're looking at cost and time for both of those items, and safety and security issues related to TxDOT issues and curb cuts. So those are still in flux a little bit. We know we can do both. So we just chose one to have on the site plan. And you can see the dotted route here takes you up to the 21 to the north side for another a second auto entry loop. Both entry sites for auto loops would increase the stacking capabilities from existing Carpenter Elementary as well. So in this site plan, you can see, let me go one below up. On this site plan, you can see that we could enter auto entry here, separated by bus entry, and then also separated from the McMichael's driveways, the two McMichael's driveways. So auto loop would come in here, circle around, or the upper auto loop would join at this point and then come through. So we'd have stacking. All of this area would be parent stacking for auto loop, and drop off in the morning, pick up in the afternoon, and then continue on. visitor parking here in the front, and then also staff and after-hours parking, and also bus loop on this area on this side. So the buses would come in here. Buses always separated from auto traffic. Buses would come in, circle around, drop off at a canopy by the multipurpose room, which you'll see in just a second, and then circle on and head out. Detention pond that I mentioned here. Additionally, so when we see the floor plan, when Sean describes the floor plan to you, you'll see that there's also a secured play area for the K1, and then also for the first grade on this side. So we have secure play areas as well, and then also an additional play field in the back. And when you're looking at the plan, you see this little piece here. This is a fire loop. This is required by for fire truck access. One of the things we do with that also is we stripe the fire. We're required to have the fire loop, required to have a turnaround of some sort, whether it's a T or this fashion or cul-de-sac turnaround. Required to have that for the fire trucks. However, we stripe these areas also, so this area could be foursquare or basketball, put a basketball goal on the ends and things like that. So you utilize the area that's required by code. Our parking counts, one of the goals from the charrette was to make sure that we do increase our parking count. So we went from 80 parking spaces at the existing elementary to roughly 140 on our new site. As you approach the site, so one of the things that we want to do in a site design, in a design of an elementary or all school facilities, is make it very clear where the entry is. This is a safety and security issue. When you drive up to a site, you do not want people driving around, heading to the back and looking for the main entry. The main entry on this campus is here. And then as you walk in, you'll have clear, very transparent view out to the back and all the trees in the back through the library. And then you'll have louder gymnasium sections on the right, and then also classroom blocks on the right, and then louder on the left, excuse me. I'm gonna let Sean jump into the plan here and show us a little bit more detail on the plan, and then we have a few renderings to show you for the interior, and then a little bit of an animation.
Good afternoon, President French, board members, and Interim Superintendent Fraley. So as we go through the plan, we're going to go to the left side of the campus. This is our larger, louder areas where the kids will be more active and utilize those spaces. So starting from the main entry, there it is. Starting from the main entry, we have our secure vestibule. This area is going to control access to the main building. We will have a front reception area here, which they will have controlled access to the main doors that lead into the campus. So this is where any parents or visitors to the campus will be raptured in, and they won't be allowed access to any part of the building prior to being raptured in. Again, we have our rotunda area here with the views from the library, as well as access to the exterior for the play areas. And we were trying to capture as much natural light into those spaces so you have that nice visibility throughout the main entry. To the left is our music with access to the stage, and our art, which access to the exterior for an art yard here for outdoor activities such as drawing or painting that teachers may want to use. Further down the hallway, we have our gymnasium, which has a divided partition for the cafeteria. So when gymnasium is going on, the cafeteria could also be utilized. However, this entire space could be opened up into, a large performance space so that the gymnasium and the cafeteria can be one with visibility to the stage. And from this cafeteria, we have our staff parking lot that's over to the left, which for after-hours use, when you have an event or a school presentation or awards, parents could enter through another secured vestibule into the cafeteria and utilize that entire space for after-hours. We have overhead grills located here at the end of the corridor for just securing this entire wing for after-hours use. So at any point of time, no parents will be allowed to the academic side. Main administration, we have offices located at the front of the school, again for visibility for the front parking lot. So the principal, the assistant principal, anybody who's located along this area has visibility to the parking areas, again for safety and security reasons. We have our clinic and our teacher workroom administration area. And then we have the kitchen and mechanic room in the far back with access to the service yard which is also going to be secured. Going to the right, we have our academic wing. We have this separated into pods. We have our kindergarten classroom at the lower end, again, closer to the parent drop-off. So if parents want to drop off their kids, the kindergarten kid could go directly into the kindergarten classroom pod. And to the right of it is that secured pre-K, kindergarten area, play area. We have the first grade classroom, the second grade classroom, and in each pod is a collaborative area for instructional use for teachers to put up student work, or just to go out to have a group discussion, or multiple classrooms to get together. And then again, we have a learning stair in the center hub for even larger, if the first, second, and kinder wanted to have a presentation or a lecture, they could all come to the learning stair, sit down, and we can either through LED screens or projector have a lecture within that space to make it multi-use. On the second floor, we have our upper levels, our third, fourth, and fifth grade. That way we can go ahead and, again, for the young kids, they don't have to use staircases. We do have our elevator for ADA access, but again, each of them have their own collaborative areas for teaching and learning as well, and as well, they do have access to the learning stairs. As Rick was mentioning earlier, we wanted to make sure that we had a clear sense of entry. So we have our main entrance for Emil Carpenter Elementary School with a covered canopy connection to the classroom wing. So this is for inclement weather. We have areas for kids to line up for where parents are picking up, or for when parents are dropping off. They could either enter to the main entry or go into the classroom wing when the school is open at the early morning times. Here's an enlargement of that area. Again, nice large covered canopy, clear sense of entry, and again, a nice large area for covered canopy for students for pickup as well as drop off. This is the view from the back area looking towards the library. So this is that paved area for the fire lane where we can put foursquare or basketball goals or just court striping for the kids to utilize. This is the library. Again, we want to have a lot of natural light into that space, but of course this is facing west, so we took into account sun shading devices on the building to help reduce cost for air conditioning and as well as protect the books from excess glare and lighting. This area here is the art wing or the art room. Again, a lot of natural light and paved area that for students to go out and do work outside if they choose to do so. This is an interior looking towards the learning stair. During the charrette, there was that discussion of the tree and growth of knowledge. So we kind of stylized a tree within the space to kind of show that nature of growth thing, the nature of growth, utilized lighting as leaves to kind of accentuate that thought, but of course, clear visibility. We have a lot of glass into the resource room, into the library, computer lab. So just a lot of natural light coming in, as well as visibility for student control, as well as to make sure that everyone is accounted for and safe. And then here is just a quick animation, kind of showing the new school.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the rest of our schedule is if the project is approved to move forward through a design development presentation on Thursday, we would immediately start construction documents. Our construction document phase would lead into a construction administration phase with a construction manager. The board meeting last month, you approved the process of utilizing a construction manager at risk. We met with potential contractors today, and next month we would also come to the board with a selection of a construction manager at risk. That firm would also then be part of the process as we move forward through construction documents, through estimating, through scheduling, and they would also be part of all of the projects that we're involved with as far as the four major projects and the three that we're presenting today, including McMichael's, which will be presented next month. With every project, we have not only a schedule, but we have a bond allocation. Our bond allocation for construction cost is $17.5 million, and then there's an additional soft cost, which is related to furniture and testing and materials and other fees and technology. That total bond allocation is $21.2 million, and currently we believe that we're within the bond allocation, and we will be working closely with our construction managers to make sure we stay there.
If I could add one more piece, in the carpenter design, each instructional pod does have a teacher workspace as well.
That's correct. Each area has a teacher workroom, including the second floor. Each pod has those as well.
So there's one large work area on the first floor they can access after hours, and they also have a workspace in each instructional pod.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Wow.
And just to kind of show, each of these red areas here are the teacher workroom pods located in each zone. And they're located on both floors.
I have a question. Or do we have enough exit doors in case of evacuations?
Yes, we do.
Easily accessible?
We have as many access doors as required by code
Yes.
to make sure that every student manages to get out that building safely in a timely manner.
Great.
And typically, because of the configuration of a school, when we have daylighting in every classroom.
Yes.
And you tend to have a few more corridors when you have daylighting in every classroom. We are most always above and beyond what's required by code as far as exiting, just because of the configuration of the building.
Thank you.
Can we go back to the timeline slide real quickly? All right, so it looks then like we'll be voting September on proposals. Question is then, what is the number of months from that point out to complete construction?
Yeah, so we are looking for,
Estimated.
we're looking for November 2020 completion. Now, one of the things that we also stressed to the construction managers this morning was we want to work with our construction managers to do everything we can to improve on all of these projects, to improve our timing. So if they come up with ideas for us to improve timing, whether we come to you early with an earthwork package, this is one of the projects that we may recommend to come to you before we finish all of the design packages and start an earthwork package. So
That
we would start
makes
all the dirt
sense.
work and get ahead of the schedule. Maybe we can improve that schedule. We really want to have some time with our construction managers to verify that.
Very nice. I like the thinking there of what part of this can we go ahead and start on and move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
I have a question about adult or teacher bathrooms in the classroom quarters. That's not very convenient at the present, Carpenter. We want to make sure that that's fixed in the new one.
They are. In each pod, there are teacher restrooms that are separate from student restrooms.
So that would be how many upstairs and how many downstairs with all the classrooms?
Sorry. So right now, we are showing 2 here and 2 here. So there's 4 on the first floor, there's another 4 on the second floor. And then in the admin area, we have another 2 here and another 2 here. So we have 4 on the louder side. But again, we have student restrooms throughout the campus as well.
Okay, and then how many bathrooms when we make this cafeteria gymnasium stage presentation, how many would be there for adults and children?
We would use utilize this restroom right here in the center, right here in the core. So there's about 3 men, 3 women. With if we needed additional, we could technically use these 2 over here at the side as well. So.
And none are outside on the corner.
We don't want to have
Don't
one
have
of
to
those
leave the
little blue
building.
things outside.
I have to offer, take a moment to offer a compliment. I had the privilege of sitting in on one of the meetings you were having with the teachers and administrators from Carpenter as you guys sat around that table and they were throwing out ideas and this is what we'd really like and all that. To have seen that process all the way to what you just presented today, congratulations on a job well done. Putting all of those pieces of the puzzle together to bring us this.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate their time. You know, we can't do this without them. So.
Absolutely.
Is this place houses one nurse or 2 nurses?
It has 1 nurse area. How the school provides 2 or 1. It's up
Okay, in other words, going to be 1 floor.
1 floor. It's on the first right by the administration area. So as soon as if kids are sick, we typically like locating it there so that parents who come pick up their kid, that it's right there by the front door so they can come and get their kids and go.
Mr. Neal, did you have comments?
I'm excited.
He's speechless.
I'm speechless because, I worked on that campus for years, and my daughters, and I want to explain to them, they said, Dad, you should have done this, we should have done this when I was there, But I want to say to PDK, great job, and to the staff and faculty, excitement, Emmeline Carpenter School, thank you all for the great work, and looking forward to it.
Thank you.
One more technical question for you. This school is designed to house how many students?
600 students.
600 students.
And did you say the restrooms at the kindergarten, the elementary, are they in that area?
Yes. Yeah.
The student restrooms.
Student restrooms are located in each pod. So student restrooms are right here, here, and here. So in each pod, there's multiple restrooms as well as on the 2nd floor.
Thank you.
Right.
Magnificent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, that's, wow.
So does that mean that we're gonna have a line of teachers wanting to transfer to Carpenter Elementary?
You haven't had to transfer out yet. No one wants to transfer out. CTEs.
Well done, thank you.
Okay, our next project to present is the Nacogdoches High School CTE renovations and the Malcolm Rector CTE Center. This project is a little bit unique as far as we have a combination of interior renovation components, and we also have what we're calling a greenfield CTE, Malcolm Rector CTE Center building outside of the envelope of the existing high school that would be utilized by not only students throughout the day and even after hours, but also can be utilized by the community for additional workforce development, for continuing education, for community rooms, for other robotics. We've talked about robotics camps and programs there, or presentations and events, and then also other events within this large space. You're going to see that the Malcolm Rector Center is a very, very flexible and agile space where we have a lot of moving walls. We have an open center area. It can be used in what we call a cleaner environment, let's say maybe for the robotics or other programs. It can also be used for what is called the dirtier environment. We have roll-up doors where trucks and cars can be pulled in to offload and do other things. So it's a very, very interesting program that has a lot of possibility, not only today as we designed it, but we designed it with an unknown program, really. So we designed it with programs in the future that we do not even know exist yet can function within this space by moving a few walls around, and we have the utilities at the perimeter walls and things like that to allow for that to happen. So we've had an incredible start to this project as well. It was not a design charrette. However, we utilized that same time when we were at the charrette and in a couple meetings afterwards with Dr. Crispo and his staff, and then also Mr. Hosley and his staff, who we really need. There's somebody on his staff, or whether it's him, that we should hire, because they've showed up with drawings and sketches, and they had a very clear understanding of what they wanted, and it was so helpful to have that kind of information when you start a project, so you're not just starting with a blank slate or a blank piece of paper, which they definitely did not have a blank piece of paper. So schedule started about the same time during the schematic design charrette phase at the very beginning in January, and then we moved into our continuing design development meetings, several of those meetings throughout February leading up to today, and then also looking for a possible approval on the 28th of this Thursday. So the building itself, or the project itself, as I mentioned, consists of two pieces. The Malcolm Rector CTE Center. This is currently a drive-through one-way parking lot with angled parking, and then also parallel parking along the curb at this area. And then also this area, which Sean will show us in just a second, is the interior renovation and the different programs that are being renovated as part of this scope of work. And then also a canopy that addresses, really when you see this canopy, it's really an extension of the building, and it really adds square footage to the building. However, all you're doing is adding a canopy and you're extending the existing spaces outward, which is a great concept, economical concept. Additionally, so I mentioned the parking lot that was here in the drive-through parking lot. Our parking here, we're increasing our parking count. Sorry, guys, what was the parking count here? No, I got it. Sorry about that. So our existing parking was 45, and we up to 72. So on the existing parking lot, we knew we wanted to increase just because not only there's always a need for additional parking, but also some of the events that happen in here in this space, when you see this open area, we can support that with this parking here, as well as some other support back in this area. Okay, Sean, will you walk us through these interior components?
So we'll go through each space a little bit more as we go through the enlargement. But as Rick mentioned, the top portion right here is the new Malcolm Rector Center. We have a connection piece right here between the new building with the existing Nacogdoches High School. This line right here is kind of a separation line between the two buildings. It's our kind of fire separation, since the existing building is not sprinkled and the new building will be. So there, we have this as our security corridor, as well as a fire separation between the two buildings. One thing that we did go through with the new area that we're renovating, the area that we're renovating of the high school, was the cleaning up the circulation, which we'll kind of discuss a little further on here. So going to...
Before you go off this site, describe the main entry for after hours and how it's different from the student entry during the day.
So here, the main entry off of here from the parking area, we have a secured vestibule. Again, this has a reception area at front. Nobody can access the building prior to being badged in or raptored in from the main entry. This corridor here, the doors will be remained open on hold opens, magnetic hold opens. So during the day, it'll just look like a corridor extension from the high school. When it is used for after hours, those doors will close. People can still use this, can still use this as an exit because we have doors here, but the door that leads into the high school will be secured and locked, so nobody can gain access to the high school. So we still have our exits out of this building, but as for entry into the existing high school, nobody will be able to do so after hours.
So the design allows for exit from the main high school as it is now, free exit to the exterior, or if you choose to do so administratively through the doors and unlocking doors, or not propping doors, but controlling doors, you can go directly into the CTE Center and would feel like an extension of the existing building.
But then it sounds like that would also allow for, if you had an event there during the day, you could lock those doors and prevent
Correct.
access to the rest of the building.
Yes.
Very nice.
All of those options.
Maximum flexibility, I like that.
Yep. So moving into the Malcolm Rector Center, we have, like we mentioned before, we have our security vestibule or reception area off of there. So these doors will remain locked until somebody's badged or buzzed in. We have our offices here. We just label them as offices because we assume that for flexible use for after hours, it could be an area for somebody who's using the building to office out of, if it's one of the college or universities nearby that's kind of wanting to utilize the space. We have the restrooms at the front, and then we have 4 flex labs with adjoining classrooms. So basically, we have 4 areas for 4 different programs, so that, again, for flexibility, each area has folding partitions with writable wall surfaces, so that these could be either combined into one room for a larger program, or subdivided into a classroom with a lab next to it. We have a storage room for any storage needs based off of any program that may come to utilize this space. So we wanted to make sure that each area had the same flexibility and same use, so that if a program turns out to be a big hit, such as robotics, and you wanted to create another robotics program, you could. Or if you wanted to do different programs as health science or any program that would be best utilized here in Nacogdoches, it could come here. And then we have our high bay area, which each of these labs open up onto. So again, this area here, which is our high bay area, could be utilized for larger construction projects or different types of events or functions. We also have a kitchenette here that could also double as a coffee bar or a concession stand for any event that's hosted here. So we have a few high top tables in this area here for students to sit and either learn or study on their own, or just eat food while they're here. And then our high bay area. We have laundry for any needs that may come out for this building in the future.
So the High Bay area also is not just support for the 4 classrooms and associated labs. The High Bay area could actually be 3 additional programs within that High Bay area with just the use of furniture and portable partitions or low partitions.
Something else also, Mr. Harrison made a point that the entrance at the west end of that high bay area is high enough to pull in really the cab of a tractor trailer.
Yes.
You can bring in forklifts and whatnot. You can bring in commercial-sized AC units and put them on the floor and work there as well. So whatever's needed in the future, you can do those types of things there. Or host a robotics competition or even a banquet.
Yes.
So if you did put more walls up, you would have a hallway on each side, right?
Correct.
So we would just have small hallways.
Yeah, you'd have
and
a
then
hall-
3 additional classrooms in the center.
Yeah,
Correct.
and actually,
Or one and another workspace. It's totally flexible. And then, is that like, how much money to add those walls? Or are they to put them up, take them down, like, or it's a permanent
yeah,
type thing?
and I was really referring to a rather open concept. So you would do this with furniture or low walls that aren't hard built.
Okay.
So they're all movable.
Okay, all right.
So if
Got
we
it.
discovered a program that could be housed in the high barrier area, and it's an open air kind of program, and it doesn't need to be in a lab by itself, and noise is not
It'd
an
be
issue.
cubicles like an office space, more or
Similar,
less.
sure.
You could make, okay.
You
got
know,
it.
I went to back in the day, an open space elementary school. And it really, it was a great environment, so I can totally see, in other words, you don't have to have those walls there to have multiple learning environments.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do with furniture nowadays also.
Yes.
Okay, now we're moving into the renovation area. First portion of it is the architectural lab and makerspace. These are some existing rooms that we were converting into new existing CT programs, and just cleaning up the function as well as the sight lines. Right now, the engineering lab, we're 3 separate rooms. We're trying to open it up so that if a teacher that's in this room could have clear visibility to all areas of that space. We have 2 classrooms and a clean room for printers, 3D printers, not 3D printers and computers, things that need to be in a clean environment that could be shy away from all the sawdust and more messy equipment. Project storage, tool storage, so basic needs. And then looking at utilizing that canopy area. This portion here is existing. We're looking at extending it down, but caging in areas for material storage. So that space outside is also being utilized and not wasted space. Again, here's the security vestibule. Here's the exit doors out of the existing high school. That leads you to exit doors on either side of this area of the security corridor to Malcolm Rector Center. Going to the second half, we have our welding lab. Again, we have classroom, parts and tool storage, office, larger area. This area used to be the ag and floral space, but we kind of moved it over to the side area to help clean up the circulation in the corridor. One of those areas of the existing high school was very muddled and it looked like a maze, so we wanted to go through and clean up that circulation. We also have access here for egress for this area in the above corridor, so which uses their doggy daycare to have access to get the dogs out, to go ahead and go outside, or for when families are dropping their pets off. We also have, again, this is that area that we talked about, extending that overhead canopy, materials storage for them, material storage for welding, and then material storage for automotive. Automotive has, again, their classrooms, parts and tools, and dressing areas for boys and girls for the automotive lab. We tried to utilize as much existing areas, such as those restrooms, leave those alone to help reduce costs and really put it all towards the CTE area rather than renovating existing areas that didn't need to.
And the square footage you're gaining by putting the awning up is
Correct.
huge.
It was a lot of
That's
space
wonderful.
that was being utilized for material storage inside the building that we're gaining back
Yeah.
from putting it outside.
Very wise.
Then here is a elevation or front entry rendering of the Malcolm Rector Center. This is that high bay area that we were talking about earlier. So that we have our administration area here with windows out to the front drive and parking lot for security, and then our signage for the building. We wanted to try and make this a very open area, so it would be a great venue for, like you said, banquets earlier. This is what the interior would look like. We're thinking more of an industrial look, high vaulted ceilings, exposed ductwork, exposed lighting. This area we kind of put in a robotics kind of a program just to kind of show what the flexibility of space would be. We're thinking sealed concrete floors, again, visibility to all the labs with folding partition doors, and then of course graphics and stuff to really enhance that space.
And that's the high bay area. That doesn't look very high to me. Is it
This area,
deceiving?
it's a little deceiving because of the thing is that it's very wide. So when you think of it in height, it looks kind of squared off, but it is a lot higher because here's the clear story windows to get natural light into that space. And again, this is going to be the labs and classroom areas, which again, they will have about a 10-foot ceiling. This area will be about 25-foot ceiling, so.
Okay.
Any questions?
Is there going to be extra insulation on that large roof like that to try to trap heat and cool?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure y'all think about this, but I'm thinking about what the cost of air conditioning is.
Yes, sir. Yes, the roof insulation, the roof properties will all meet or exceed requirements.
FYI, we have a Netco, met someone, I did not, but just someone who has created this little thin, new insulation type product that they may be bringing here to manufacture.
Very impressive. This is very impressive.
Thank you. Okay, so again, schedule, as we visited with our construction managers today, we did visit with them about some of these projects will move at different speed and different pace than the other projects. We know that Emmeline Carpenter is the longest schedule, and when I mentioned early phases or an earthwork package for Emmeline Carpenter, this project may see some interior renovation that is done much quicker, and the contractors get out of the building while they're still working on the standalone Malcolm Rector Center. So we do need to visit with our construction manager when they're on board and map out all of the interior renovation phases, as well as how it tracks with the exterior construction.
Realistically, I would expect that the renovations would have to be done during the summer period, so we'd be looking at not this summer, but the following summer?
Yes, ma'am.
Question.
Yeah, we may be able to come in again this summer because our construction manager will be on board. Maybe we're coming
Okay.
in and doing the canopies. And, there's things like that we can do that does extend that space, as you mentioned, and it gives them some of that space while we're working our way up to holiday work, Christmas
Okay.
work, and spring break work, and then getting to next summer.
Okay.
Mr. Fraley, at earlier stages, Malcolm Rector had some plumbing problem. Is it fixed? Do you know anything?
At the current building,
Yes.
I don't know. It's the first I heard about that. I don't know.
Excuse me, fighting the allergies.
Okay, the rest of our presentation is then the bond allocation. So the bond allocation, total project bond allocation is 15.8, and that also includes the soft cost and construction cost, as I mentioned earlier.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions? Okay, our last presentation today is the Dragon Stadium Press Box. I'm joined with Mr. Ed Ramirez. Ed Ramirez is with our PBK Sports Division. We have a dedicated sports division within PBK that does nothing but sports projects, stadiums, and press boxes, fields, and everything related to sports, whether it's soccer, track, indoor sports. And Juan Lopez, who I know some of you have met already, as we worked our way through this project, he's actually at an AD's conference today, so Juan is not here today, but Ed is the project manager with our sports division and for this project as well. So we started this project a little bit earlier with some of the staff and the coach. Let me get to this. Come on, baby. There we go. So we started this one almost immediately after the successful bond referendum. And our original goal was to try and get a press box taken down and a new press box built before this coming football season. So as we looked at that in a very, very aggressive plan, we realized, okay, there's a lot of chances for that to not happen, and when it does not happen, then you don't have a press box. So we looked at ways of building a press box behind or above the existing press box, keeping that press box in place in case a construction manager cannot complete the new press box in time. And we just realized that it was a great idea, an aggressive plan, but we didn't see that.
It broke my heart.
I see you reaching for the microphone. Yes, sir.
I had to accept no.
Well, sometimes we have to just put things on paper and see where it flushes itself out. So we have a construction manager on board next month, and they will be involved with this project as well. And they will be allowing or working with us to schedule all the activities on site within the grounds of the stadium. And we realize that it's not just about football, it's about all the other sports and activities and band and whoever else uses the stadium. So we will be scheduling all of our activities with the construction manager as we move forward. So where are we now on this project? The existing press box, very obvious, is here. It's a very obvious slide to show an existing press box on the left side of a stadium. So we're proposing to build our new press box in the back of the existing press box. However, it's not a situation that I described earlier about being able to leave the other one in place. This one, we need to move right up to the back side of it. We need to take it down to make it happen because of sight lines and improving sight lines and things like that. So this is a ground level site plan. This is showing you the stairs. We have two sets of stairs that lead up to a new press box. If you've been in the existing press box, you know that it's rather tight. There's not much circulation. The circulation basically is out the front. So your egress and entry into the press box is basically up the bleachers and through the stands. This is improving that access to have two sets of stairs and an elevator. So once we are triggering the new square footage for a press box, we're also guided by a multitude of codes, including accessibility guidelines, So we will have the 2 sets of stairs for egress in case of an event, an emergency event, or we will also have the elevator for accessibility access in and out to the press box. So let's look at this level. This is the level. The red line is showing you the existing press box over the existing structure of the basically the existing press box is over the existing grandstands. Well, I'm going to show you a section through this in just a second that clearly identifies that. Just a little bit closer, seeing the stairs in the lobby to an elevator. We want the elevator doors and all the controls of an elevator to be guarded by a lobby for not only maintenance reasons, weather reasons, but also vandalism or security reasons. And then we have the second set of stairs. So the press box that I mentioned, we're going to go into a little bit more detail on this diagram in just a second, but before we go to the floor plan, the existing press box is here on top of the bleachers. So what I mentioned earlier, when we looked at other options for possibly leaving the press box in place and then building a press box behind it, it either put the press box up here because the existing press box is here, or it put it further back. So those were some of the options. We looked at many options, and this is the one that we landed on to be the most cost-effective and deals with this existing space as well. So you'll see in a second, when you see this space out front, this is the space we're talking about. That is the existing press box, and then we build a flat sloped area over that. You may ask, well, why don't you put seats there? As soon as we put seats in this area, we trigger other accessibility issues related to the stadium. So if we put additional seats there, the way the code reads is the primary function of the stadium is viewing the activity, and you're doing that from seats within the stands. Once we alter those seats, in our current plan, we are not altering the existing seats. We're only dealing with the press box where we are allowing for 2 stair access and an elevator. If we added seats in this red circle area, we would have to deal with every one of the aisles that lead up to the rise and run, the steps that go up, and also it would increase the accessible seating requirement by quite a bit on the existing bleachers. So there's a multitude of issues that are opened up if you do use this area for existing seats. It could be done in the future. However, we would have to add intermediate risers. We'd have to widen every one of the aisles. The aisles aren't the current code. They don't meet current code as far as the width. We'd have to widen the aisles, which would take away some seating as well. Okay, so back to the plan for a second. Is that, I'm sorry. So starting to the left side, I'm just going to run through left in order from left. So these 2 areas these are outdoor deck areas. So these are areas at the end of each one of these. The yellow is a corridor, interior corridor. Those are outdoor deck areas. You can go out and they could be used for a film deck if you wanted to. That's not the design of them, but they could be used for just going out in nice weather and viewing the game from out there. You could put folding chairs or loose chairs out there as well.
Yeah, we looked initially at a front porch, but I lost on that too. So now we have 2 side porches.
They're just as nice. So the scouts then are the next space, and then the radio, and then visitors, coaches, and then the PA scoreboard, an exterior film deck. You see the green area is exterior area, so that is the exterior film deck. And then the radio and the press box, and then the home coaches. And then at the very end, we have a multi-purpose room that can be used for a larger group viewing of whether it's football, soccer, track, whatever is going on on the field. Also, it could be used for meetings and other gathering spaces. This room could probably fit about 20 at a conference room table as well. So it truly is a multi-purpose room as well. It's not just for viewing football.
We talked about a CTE classroom, and so we thought, well, we have that, but let's design it where it can be used for a lot of different things. So we have that. Then you'll see the video CTE placed with the operating video board as well.
Okay, the rest of the interior space, I mentioned the 2 stairs. Those are rather obvious, the elevator in the center. Then we have restrooms, men's and women's restrooms. We have custodial and utilitarian type spaces on this level. We have the mechanical rooms. And then we also have a video and CTE area that this is students that could be in here. They're actually running the scoreboard. They're actually running the video production that's on the scoreboard. If they need, sometimes we put a confidence camera in here. So you put a camera on the end of the building that's looking at the scoreboard. They can see the scoreboard. Typically in a space like this, you don't need to have the prime real estate in the front and see the scoreboard as long as you can have an image of what's on the scoreboard. think of NBC, and they're not looking at, they're not in your living room looking at a TV that you're seeing, they're looking at a view of that. So that's how that room would work. The construction of the press box itself, we're rather economical construction. We are up at about 40 feet, which is what drives typically when people look at the cost of a press box. They don't realize that everything that is being done is done 40 feet high. So when you do that, you want to use as economical and lightweight and durable materials as possible. We're proposing metal siding for most of this structure. It's a combination of metal siding and louvers. So when you see these areas, these are the stair towers. So the stair towers are open stair towers. So we're not air conditioning and adding heat, air conditioning load and energy load to the stair towers. So the black areas are louvers. So this is solid, this is louver is solid, and then this is the mechanical area and that outdoor porch, the side porches that we talked about. And then also plenty of opportunity for graphics and banners. Another view from another angle from the parking lot. The elevator tower in the center. View from the front. The area that we talked about earlier, that is the sloped area with the press box, that is the size and position of the existing press box. So that also is another area for in the future for possible graphics also.
So what will the appearance of that be? It's hard to tell from that.
Just a gray metal panel type. Controlled access, also we control so you could not get access to it on top of it. Section through, this is the section we were looking at earlier where you see the stair. So you see the stair towers in the backside. Here's the corridor, the yellow corridor that ran through the center of the press box. And then this is any one of those rooms across the front side looking out through the windows. The existing press box, the existing structure of the bleachers, and other things that are existing underneath the stands. Okay, so this one's a little bit different as far as where are we headed in the schedule. So again, same conversation about a construction manager on board next month. We will have a lot of conversations with them about schedule phasing and what can we prepare beforehand, have on site before you even start taking down an existing structure. So those are some of the conversations in a project like this that we have with a contractor as well, is let's order everything. Let's use it. Maybe we come to the district and say, you know, we need a little bit more of that parking lot because we're going to start storing materials in the parking lot. When they take that press box down, they have everything they need to go and they just start building instead of waiting for materials after you've taken down a press box. So we're looking for the start of the season of 2020 is the target. And our bond allocation is 1.1 for the construction cost, and then additional $246,000 in additional soft cost, which again is fees and surveys and platting and geotechnical reports, and a little bit less of a soft cost on this one because you don't have all of the technology and furniture that most of that is in the project cost, versus with a school you have a lot of loose items that increase your soft cost. That's it.
Wow. What do you think of that, Mr.
great.
Ramon?
That's very nice. It's overdue.
Do you ever think we'd see that?
Right. Mr. Fraley,
Yes, sir.
the bleachers themselves, some of them just got a curb hold of water, and some of them actually have a holes in them for drainage purpose. Goes down. Are those going to be repaired, take care of, or?
Not in this contract, but we'll look at those things at some of the maintenance
You
types
know
of
exactly
things.
what I mean.
Yes, sir, I do. And I heard complaints about the height of some of the steps.
Right. Oh, my
And
God.
some of them interim steps. We'll look at those types of things, but it'll be a different contract away from this.
You know where bleachers came from, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do. It's quite a story. Yeah, but they're in great shape.
They are.
Is there any other school that has done, replaced a press box like this, or is this an original plan?
We've actually done many replacements of press box. You can imagine there's an era of press boxes similar to this one that were just boxes that were put on top of stands. And a lot of those were prefab press boxes, so we've done this quite a few times.
Are these windows gonna be flat or angled?
You know, they're actually flat, so there's an ongoing debate about whether it's better to have the flat or the angled, that both of them can create glare depending on where the source is from. So the preferred is flat, and if you'll notice in even professional stadiums, you see more flat than you do curved. or angled.
With the angle, it's very difficult to get the view off
Oh, yes.
visibility. It's a mess.
Is there any place here in East Texas that has a press box that you built, like, similar to this one? Or are they down and around Houston or Dallas?
Probably more so in the Houston area.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Not somewhere we could easily just drive and look and see,
No,
kind of like,
there's
that's
not.
what it's gonna kind of look like?
Yeah, I don't know of any and they're all different, so they all have a different architectural character. Yeah, there's a coaches, and there's a PA, and there's a scoreboard, and they line up, in the floor plan, those are similar. But when you look at these, they're all a little bit different as far as the materials that are used and the finished architecture.
Well, this looks very innovative, and we want multiple uses out of this, where classrooms, and we want playoff games to be there, and we're already seeing that happening. And so this is going to, increase the utility of a place that was not used very much.
Absolutely.
And we're getting a lot of use out of our scoreboard and with the soccer teams, and we're in the playoffs. That's what I heard.
Any other questions related to the press box? All right. Thank you. I think it's sufficient to say we're blown away.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam President, I want to thank again,
I got
I want to thank the PBK staff, obviously, for the work they've done. I want to thank again our team and our staff, our teachers and principals who are working very hard with them to define the needs and uses, and then they go back and they interpret it. And I really want to give an extra shout out to Sean, and his team for the all-night work they've done several times and being very responsive to a lot of our needs, hopes, and wishes. And I just keep saying, have anything you want within the budget. Thank you all very much. Really appreciate that. And thank the board, too, for the chance to do this. This is an amazing opportunity for our community, for our schools, for our kids. They're going to really enjoy the space.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for making the trip in today as well to share those plans with us.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing no further discussion on that item, we'll move to item 3B. This one we will actually, board members, because it is a security issue, have discussion in executive session. All right, so that'll bring us to item 3C, the consideration of scheduling a special meeting to canvass the May 4th election results. We typically like to, what is our window there of dates, Holly?
The window is from Tuesday the 7th and through the 15th. Of course, the regular board meeting's on the 16th.
All right.
Last year, it was the Monday after the election, before we could canvass because of the time allowed for mail ballots to arrive.
So if I'm interpreting that correctly, we should be safe as long as we wait till the 7th
Hopefully.
to be able to, okay, hopefully, but maybe go a little later?
It would be probably better if we did a little bit later.
Okay. What would your recommendation be on?
The Monday at the agenda review, we could do that, we could do it Monday night. Tuesday is, I believe, the new board member, the program at SFA, so we can't do that Tuesday night. Wednesday nights are not generally good.
All right, but we could do it as part of our workshop meeting on the 13th.
We can sure do it on Monday.
That sounds fine.
How does that sound to everybody? And that way, we're just combining it in, and we typically do not take action at these workshop meetings, but on that instance, we could make an exception. All right,
Is Monday good?
all right, we'll do that. Thank you.
May 13th.
We'll double check that with Reverend Irvin between now and Thursday night, and we'll take action on that Thursday. All right, that brings us to our executive session. The board will now conduct an executive closed session to discuss items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act and as allowed by Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.129. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Today's session is discussion only. It is now 1:35 PM.
Okay. It's the payroll period. Finish up, give it to a check. Yep, there, and look at that.
we lose? The board is now reconvening into open session at 2:26 PM. That takes us to item 6, any requests for future agenda items? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion on item 7. Thank you, Mr. Neal. We are adjourned.
All right.